page at least 2 weeks in advance. For more details, log on to the KISS community page on our website, kisswtlz.com.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick.
I have hear the music.
Cover your cough or sneeze.
Yeah.
Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Welcome to Bixby. You can talk to me anytime.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands.
Kiss 107.1 is WTLZ Saginaw with Steve Harvey in the morning and simply the best R&B all day. Take us everywhere, your smartphone, in your car, to work, or live at KissWTLZ.com. We're Kiss 107.1.
Well, good evening, Saginaw, and welcome to another edition of Straight Talk with Kareem Bowen. We are getting ready to have a great show here today. I thank you guys for your continual listenership, and I thank you guys that you're continually following us as we continually talk about what's important in our city, bringing you all of the details, the facts, both here and abroad. In the studio today with my main man, the Rob Father. Rob, give the people a shout out.
What's up, Saginaw, Bay City, Midland, and all points in between?
Yeah, Rob, I heard you jamming on the radio today. I was driving around and I heard you with your classic soul music going on. You was doing it today, Rob.
Thank you very much for listening. Appreciate that.
Well, today we're going to talk about preserving the legacy of First Ward.
Well, last week I started a conversation about building legacy, leaving a legacy. And so we're going to continue that conversation to a little bit different degree on today. And so I want to remind those of you who are listening to the show, whether you're listening to KISS WTLZ 107.1 FM, and you're listening on that radio dial, that FM dial, thank you for listening in. You can also follow along with this conversation on Facebook Live with KISS 107.1 FM, or also at Straight Talk with Kareem Bowen. Now, if you hear something today and you don't get all of the details and you're trying to figure out how can I get what I missed, you can always go to KissWTLZ.com and you'll see Straight Talk with Kareem Bowen on that main page. You'll be able to go there and check out this show and other shows in their entirety, because my man, the Rob Father, makes sure that that podcast goes on to the radio show. And I also thank you for that. All right, so let's get in. We got a lot to cover here today, Rob, and I really would like your opinion on some of the stuff that's going on. You know, if I'm gonna get in trouble, I'm not getting in trouble.
I saw your itinerary and I said, "Oh, I'm not stepping in this mess."
For those of you out there and listening to my people that are coming to the social media stream, to Geraldine Bowen Walker, that's my mom, y'all. Got a shout out to my mom. How you doing, Mom? And also my brother Terry Reed. And those of you who are coming into the stream, we want to say what's up. I want to give a shout out to my boy Corey Pritchett. He does the music matter. He now has a full book. He's got a curriculum. He's making it happen. I remember when it was nothing more than him putting together a workshop, and now he is in full book mode, getting in beast mode, making great things happen. The power behind the music is a real thing. So tune in, catch that. Also, you can go and check out Joyce Harvin's show on Facebook Live as well. But let's get into what's on my mind. We're going to see if me and Rob can get into some good and necessary trouble on this afternoon or this evening. All right, so I want to talk because, and I'm going to talk about this. I just want to throw this out there. Because when it first happened, I was like, what is the big deal? But we all know what happened with Whoopi Goldberg. Whoopi Goldberg has now been suspended for 2 weeks from The View. And this is what's going on. I'm going to tell y'all what I heard. I'm going to tell you what my thought was initially. And then I'm going to just share with y'all. I want to share a little piece of an article that came from the Associated Press in New York. All right. So Whoopi Goldberg, we all know her from, Color Purple. She's now a powerful media person, but we always understand that every boss got a boss.
And she's from Star Trek Next Generation.
And Star Trek Next Generation. So thank you for giving me the little known history right there. All right. So we understand that she made a comment. They were talking about a book that was out, and I think it was Moss, M-A-U-S. Come on, community. Google it, because most of us are not going to know what this book is about, but it was a Pulitzer Prize winning graphic novel about Nazi death camps during the Holocaust. And in their discussion, Whoopi says, that the Holocaust was not about race, but inhumanity and the inhumanity against men. Now, for most folk who are not well cultured and are not very academic, I'll say, we would say, okay, yeah, in Black America, in America, period, America race has become, it is so dwindled down. And I have Dr. Dawn, and she will help us get this thing together. When she comes in, Dr. Dawn Hinton, who talks about sociology and all of these other things out of SBSU. Rob, race in the United States is like, are you Black? Are you white? Are you Puerto Rican? Are you Asian? That is how we have defined race for a long time.
Right.
So understanding race in its generic understanding that I have known for my entire 40 plus years, I don't see the problem with this. Like, okay, I understand it. I see it. What's the big deal, right? Well, 2 weeks of suspension later, we now understand. Rob, what was your initial thought in understanding this piece?
She was right on both parts, because the first question that went to my mind was, not question, but the first thing that went to my mind was, we could easily say blacks and slavery was not about race. It was about inhumanity to another from another person. It could be the same thing, but we both know it's about race. And if the Jewish people or Hebrew people consider themselves as Jews and it was all considered Jewish across, I give them that. So I think Whoopi probably misspoke, particularly since she went from having a quote unquote Black name to a quote unquote Jewish name, okay, for reasons of her own.
Yeah, Whoopi Goldberg. There's one for you.
Right, that's not her original name. And then for the doors to open up for her because of that name, and she had no reasons for that, that's on her. But I think the press and the network took very hard against her. And I have to say, and at the risk of certain other things, had it been another situation, another person said that sort of thing, that person may not have been suspended.
Well, okay, Rob, one of our viewer listeners out there saying that they're getting a little bit feedback. I'm not sure if this is in social media land or what's going on.
I'm not getting feedback on my end.
Okay, so this is what I want to say. I gotta say, man, Rob, this is crazy. Honestly, a part of me said initially they have been waiting for a moment. And y'all, hey, I'm glad there's a disclaimer that comes on. I think after I get done with my show saying the opinions expressed. I believe that they have been waiting for a moment to kind of take a dig to some degree after everything that happened with Cheryl Underwood and Ozzy Osbourne's wife, Cheryl Osbourne. All right, after the Cheryls got into it, I didn't even realize that. And the feelings and the sentiment that many people were feeling, I think that there had been an opportunity waiting to get back at Whoopi or those folks that were in alignment with Cheryl at that time. So I don't know. That's my personal thought. However, when I began to look at this, I said, listen, Jews for us have been white people since I belong. Since I remember, in my understanding. And this is my thought process. And so if y'all want to get mad about my thought process and how we were trained and how we were raised in America, then you get mad at our educational system. Because for a long time, we thought Jews were white people. That's just what we thought. Sharon Osbourne. There you go. There we go. And so the fact that she said that, and I thought that, the fact that she was saying that this was humanitarian, they wanted to dehumanize. This was just really going hard in on all of the negativity. I said to myself, okay, well, that makes sense to me. So I couldn't understand how this was wrong. She's saying this is inhumanity, inhumane act against these people.
She wasn't wrong.
Now, because this is what I also thought, because my perspective was that this was more about ethnicity than race.
Right.
Okay. And so that's what was but let me show you what the Associated Press was saying. Okay, so after all of these things were going on, they brought in a number of individuals, and Ms. Goldberg, and I think that this is at first I thought she was taking the stand, like I said when I said she was pulling the Nene Leakes, but she did apologize, and because I don't think that her intention was off.
No.
And so when we look at and nobody would disagree that this was about inhumanity. This was not about treating someone inhumanely.
Which is what bothered me. Why didn't they focus on that? You said, well, she misspoke, because people misspeak all the time.
Well, because I think that they were waiting for a moment to get to turn the table on a conversation of race that took place with Cheryl Underwood. Now, if I'm going to tell you this is straight talk, I'm giving it to you straight, no chaser, no filter. That's the story right there. But the reality of it is, so they bring in this individual. Ms. Goldberg says that she misspoke, that she said on I think a show the following day. And so when they began to move, they brought in Jonathan Greenblatt. He's a CEO of Anti-Defamation League and the author of It Could Happen Here. They brought him in on Tuesday to discuss why her words had been so hurtful. So I'm going to tell you, I always believe that we are a person, or we are people who are continually evolving, and hopefully our understanding and our openness to learn is always there. So I'm going to tell you right now, I don't always get this right. My thought was, this is much to do about nothing. This is just one of those moments. So he goes on, and so they bring him in, and he has this conversation. He says, Jewish people at the moment are feeling besieged, Greenblatt said. Rabbi Abraham Cooper. Now, y'all remember there was another young African-American entertainer who made the statement about the original Jews being of African descent. They banned him from TV. And I'm going to tell y'all, there are certain people, and Master P said it best. He says, you can't say what you want on TV until you own the network. And so the reality of the situation, you got to watch what you say, or, until you own the network. So if you want to say and be honest and tell the truth, however you may feel that may be, then you've got to begin to own the network. And this is a powerful story on how, a group of people have a great deal of power as it relates to media and entertainment, and they can change your life if you don't get it right. All right. So he goes on to say that the rabbi, he says, Associate Dean of Simon Wiesenthal Center. He praised Goldberg for being our spokesperson over the years on social issues, but he said that he struggled to understand her statement on the Holocaust. Now, listen, the only explanation that I have for it is that there is a new definition of racism that has been put out there in the public recently that defines racism exclusively as targeting of people of color. Now, shock me, slap me, and call me Susan. How else did we define this? Now, I'm going to bring Dr. Dawn in because she opened my understanding to a great degree, and she always gives me a book to help me to understand some things. But she began to talk about racism as a social construct. And if you've ever read the book, what was the name of the book that we were looking at, Rob? Come on, by
Angelo.
Yes. What was the name of the book?
White
Privilege.
Right.
She talks about it, and she lays out how white racism is a social construct. She talks about it. That's not an academic book. Dr. Dawn is the academic beast. I want her to have her conversation here. So we understand this, right? They go on and they say that the only explanation is that the definition of race has changed. This is the definition that I've known my entire life. Rob, did you know a different definition of race?
No.
Okay, so historically in the United States, I think that we would all agree with this understanding.
Right.
So I'm trying to figure out what was the big to-do in this particular situation. However, they go on to have this conversation. Obviously, history teaches us otherwise, Cooper said. Everything about Nazi Germany and about targeting of the Jews and about the Holocaust was about race and racism. Now, I knew that Hitler and his Third Reich were out to create a
master race.
But what I believed was, in that understanding of Hitler and the Jewish people, was that they believed that they were a tainted part of this master race. They were a part of the same race, but they were tainted somehow. And so I didn't think that it excluded them completely from being a part of the white race. But when we begin, however a person defines who they are, as Black people, we done been African-Americans, we done been Afro-Americans, we done been some of everything. Now, I just say, call me a Black man. And so if you can respect me based upon the terms that I define myself, I think that's most important. And so that's why I think that this conversation is so important, because as we talk about leaving a legacy and we look at the Jewish community believes in legacy. Come on, you deal with the Jewish community. You have history, you have artifacts, you have a written a legacy of what's going on. There is oral tradition. There are things that they preserve their history. Now, we don't have the great benefit to do that. But I think that it's important to look at this because this race of people, I'm going to call you what you are, this race of people now have positioned themselves in our country, in the United States. They are part of this nation. They position themselves in the United States to have power. And one of the ways that I think that they've been able to do this successfully is by successfully building a legacy. One generation leaving a legacy for the next generation to build upon. So I want to say to my brothers and sisters out there of the dark skin melanin, we need to wake up, because I think that there's a lesson to be learned here about ownership. When you own things, you can do things and you can say things because you own it. Rob, what are you going to say?
Well, this is one of the reasons why in our culture, Black Americans, now I don't know about African American, actual Africans over in Africa, but here we're trying to get a hold of and maintain our culture, because culture is everything for us. And so we know Jews have a culture, the Hispanics have a culture, Latinos they all have a culture. And so that helps build that legacy without practicing that culture, which is what bothers so many of us about cultural theft or cultural appropriation, because what you're doing, what we wearing out here in braids, now you want to do the same thing, but we're trying to protect our culture.
Man, let's not even go there.
But it's part of it.
Yeah, no,
that's part of the legacy.
We were sitting here, Joyce was talking about appropriation of our music and our sound. What we have is very valuable, but we have to begin to monetize these things for ourselves. We have to get into a place that we begin to understand the benefit, and we've got to begin to build a legacy that lasts. Now, I didn't say all of this stuff, and I threw it out. That's my opinion, and I said what I said. But by the time Dr. Dawn gets on here, she's going to educate me real good, put me in place, and I'm going to appreciate her for doing just that. All right, real quick, Brian Flores. Everybody knows what's going on with Brian Flores. If you are an NFL head or a sports fan, former Dolphins coach, filed a lawsuit against the NFL, claiming racial bias and discrimination. This is about to be crazy, because not only is he filing suit against the NFL, but there's also a lawsuit that has been filed against the Washington Commanders, the owner, Dan Snyder, sexual harassment, cheerleaders getting ready for photo shoots, being filmed while they're getting undressed, taking photos. This is horrific. So the NFL is in some deep water, okay? And so when we look at this, we've got to begin to look at it. So I want to get, my focus is Brian Flores, but I wanted to throw that out there because there's a whole storm of stuff going on. We got the NFL halftime show coming up, and I'm wondering what statement, because when you have a platform, people are like, I don't think that they should show up. I don't think that they should be a part of it. They should, no, show up. Use your platform, make your statement. So I'm interested in seeing what happens. Now, I told y'all when y'all Lord and friend Jay-Z was out there and he was making these deals on behalf of Black America because they believe that we're monolith, so one person speaks for all of Black America, right? That this was not going to be anything but a whole bunch of tap dancing pancakes, Rob. They used us. I'm waiting for his ownership opportunity. We're a song and a song or a dance and a pony show. What is it? Song and dance?
Song and dance.
Yeah. So this is what's going on. Rob, what are your thoughts about that?
Pony show too, for all we know.
I mean, it's crazy. So Brian Flores has filed suit. Now the crazy thing about it is he's said, hey, he was put on sham interviews. They're like, how can you say it was a sham? How about because Belichick sent me a text message before I even interviewed and saying that somebody else has got the job. Now, there is something called the Rooney Law that they put in place. Dan Rooney, former NFL great, was in there. And when Tony Dungy could not get a job, y'all know how great Tony Dungy is, Super Bowl world champion. When he couldn't get a job, he recognized something nefarious is going on here. So they created this Rooney Law, which basically says that whenever there is an upper level management job that takes place, that you have to have
at least one minority.
Two. Actually, you have to have at least two minorities that have to be a part of this Dog and Pony Show. Thank you, friends.
Thank you.
Yes, we appreciate your listenership. Continue to listen and stop trying to teach your numbers. We appreciate it. But you have to have two minorities that are in that pool to be a part of that equation, right? So if this is happening, he was one of the two minorities that they were interviewing. Well, that's what he's saying. He's saying that he was not given. He was sitting on an interview and they were checking boxes. Now, those of you who are from the community, y'all listen to this conversation. This is nothing new.
Right.
But it brings back to the conversation everything that Colin said, Colin Kaepernick.
Yep.
It brings back to the firing of the Detroit Lions coach because he was fired. He turned his head and he was gone. But we have seen this time and time again. We're looking at situations with NFL players, how their treatment is, the white players versus the black players. There is a bias that exists. The NFL is one of what I believe is a modern day plantation. Many of our guys, and I'll say this to those athletes, I respect you. You are not a slave. But it is run in many cases in that same way. Let me correct myself, because I have mad respect for these athletes who put their bodies to the grind, and you do a great living. You've worked hard. You've earned your living. But the fact of the matter is, many of you are seen as chattel. You can be bought and sold. And so it's going to be interesting to see how this whole thing plays out. And so I'm interested in seeing that. What's that?
Pardon the pun.
Pardon the pun, absolutely. So currently, just to give you a real quick statistic, today there are 28 head coaches. There's 4 teams that don't have one yet. Only one of those head coaches in the NFL is black in a league that is 70% black. Y'all tell me what's going on here. There is a problem. When the system is supposed to be equitable, somebody got to give up a seat to bring some inclusion into this thing. So let's get through that. I want to really quickly get through these things. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Don't y'all get on me. The Black Teaching Experience presents the black hand side. All right. If you remember, we were kings that give me 5 up high on the black hand side, right? So they're presenting this Black Teaching Experience. Kevin Jones and friends. It is going to be an exceptional show. Kevin
it is an exceptional show.
Yeah, because it started February 2nd
this past Tuesday
through April the 8th. Phenomenal. Know Kevin forever. If you've ever seen the Black Teaching Experience when he was over on Adams Boulevard, great. If you haven't, you've got to get down to the museum. Which museum is that at? I pulled up the flyer. The Black Teaching Experience on the black hand side
Art Museum
is at the Saginaw Art Museum, 1126 North Michigan Avenue. Y'all got to get down there. This is phenomenal. So they brought a collection and they're doing an exhibit with all of these black artists, and it is absolutely amazing.
Can I talk about it real quick here?
Absolutely.
I ran into Jeff Bulls down there, several other people there. The place was packed Tuesday. It was phenomenal for people to be out there, and I was so proud of Kevin Jones and his team, what they were doing out there, and go out there and see it. And not just on one side of the art museum, but on the other side, their display of masks or whatnot. That's an artist. I forget the artist's name, but check it out. Again, as Kareem says, on to April 8th.
You gotta get out. I'm telling you, this is phenomenal. And I'm gonna tell you, this is Black History Month. Go learn something, because this is not just art, but this is a piece of our history. Right. Kevin is telling history with artifacts and pieces of history that we have long forgotten. When you look at Betty Boop, most of y'all thought Betty Boop was a white woman. No, go and check out the artifacts. She's a black woman. And so many of these pieces are being showcased, and he is a master in terms of how he presents these things. But next Saturday, I want you guys also, there's some other black artists that are also participating in this. Naisha, I'll call you Naisha Latoy. She is amazing as well. But next Saturday, this is February 12th, they're having a collector's talk from 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. I want you to get there. Go out and support this. If you black, use your black card and get down there and support. If not, we're going to be reneging on some cars, y'all. All right, I want to say this is my last announcement. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and I'm going to come back with a conversation on preserving the legacy of First Ward Community Center. Mayor Moore has completed her selection of the ARPA Advisory Board. The following individuals were appointed: Christina Jones, Kevin Abosta, Amy Spatafor, Renee Johnston, a friend of mine, Veronica Horn, James Hernandez, Sharon Lehman Case, Jeffrey Bulls, our guy. He's the man that represents the community. Hurley Coleman, Pastor Coleman, my brother, James Doe, Grady Holmes Jr., Calvin Talley, and Phenobia Dallas. Okay, we're going to take a commercial. Oh, Tina Swanton, Valerie Tony. And that's all I have to say about that. At the time, Mayor's going to come in. She's going to defend her statement, and she's going to talk about her plan of it's a new season, it's a new day. Rob, let's take a commercial break, and we'll come back with our conversation for today.
You're listening to Straight Talk with Kareem Bowen on KISS 107.1.
At Culver's, we cook our butter burgers pretty much the same as you would at home. Only the freshest beef will do. We're talking the highest quality 3-cut blend, no shortcuts. Got it? Great. Then you'll need to master our signature press and sear technique. This is crucial. You may want to practice a few thousand times. Add real Wisconsin cheese, because why would you have cheese from anywhere else? Top with a lightly buttered toasted bun. Serve yourself with a big...
Come to Culver's and leave the whole cook-to-order Butterburger thing to us. Welcome to Delicious.
Why is Culver's such a treat for so many families? Here's a hint. This treat is thick and creamy, and everyone can get it any way they like. Our fresh, frozen custard. We craft it in small batches throughout the day to make our guests day, using fresh dairy from America's family farms. Shakes, cones, sundaes, country mixers, flavor of the day. Oh, and the toppings.
Who says you can't please everyone? There's more than one way to dessert at Culver's. Welcome to Delicious.
Now's a great time to save big on your next project during Menards Race to Savings Sale. Menards is number one when it comes to selection of Purdy painting tools. They deliver on the highest quality brushes, rollers, paint kits, trays, and more. Make sure you're covered with everything you need for your next project. Save big on all Purdy painting tools and supplies. These great deals are going on now through February 19th during Menards Race to Savings Sale.
Save big money at Menards.
You probably wouldn't leave thousands of dollars on the table at a diner. Why leave thousands on the table with your tax return? Jackson Hewitt will help make sure you don't. This year, there are thousands of dollars worth of new tax credits. Your Jackson Hewitt Tax Pro will help you track down every last one, so you get your biggest refund guaranteed. Don't leave thousands on the table this year. Discover thousands of dollars in tax credits instead. Learn more at jacksonhewitt.com.
You're listening to Straight Talk with Kareem Bowen on KISS 107.1.
Hey, this is Kareem. We're back with more Straight Talk. Those of you who are tuned in today, our conversation that we're going to be having is about preserving the legacy of First Ward Community Center. It is a gem in our community, and we got some folks that are going to come in and have a very special conversation. Now, those of you who were here with us last week, or if you tuned in, you know that I shared a 10-point piece about building and leaving a legacy, and talked about the importance of how legacy is. And we said that building is not a legacy is not only financial, but it is also property and buildings that exist in our community that tell about the importance of our existence, why we're here, what we've accomplished, and the impact that we've made on the community. So I have with me, I got to give a shout out first of all. There's someone in our social media stream that I absolutely love, and that is my dear sister Teresa Jackson. Teresa, I love you. I miss you so much. It has been way too long. Thank you for tuning in to Straight Talk. I'm not sure if you're still in the Midwest or you went somewhere down near Texas, but wherever you are, much love and light and all that good stuff. All right. So I want to bring to the show right now. I'm going to bring, as you see, those of you who are on social media can see my guest. We lost one, Gerald. Hopefully he's going to come back in. But we have Dr. Dawn Hinton and Shilda Braddock that are here with us today. And we're going to talk about why is, and I talked about the Jewish piece because the Jews have been so good at crafting out and protecting and sharing with younger generations the legacy that they produce, that they have. And so I want to make sure that we in our community begin to do the same thing as we begin to move forward and forge out a brighter future for our young people. So ladies, I want to say hello, hello, hello.
Hello. Hi
Okay,
there.
I can't hear the lady. Hello, ladies, are you there?
Yes, we are here. I am here. Can you hear me? My lips
Okay,
are
Rob, I'm not hearing the ladies. Gerald, are you there?
Can you hear me?
I can hear Gerald. I want to make sure that we get these ladies into the stream. We're going to work with that, Rob. Let's make sure we get them there. Gerald, you are here, and I guess it's appropriate that we begin this conversation with you because when I began to talk about First Ward Community Center, we started having this conversation. We actually were brought together by First Ward Community Center, actually. You have a rich and a beautiful legacy that you carry, memories that you cherish about First Ward. Why don't you share those with us?
Sure. Thanks for having me on too, Kareem. Straight Talk. My legacy and my initial contact with First Ward was the community center. Coming into the community center as a teenager, being referred to the community center by my older siblings, my older brother, my older sister, they all cousins, they all participated at First Ward Community Center when they were young. And so I had the unique experience and the blessed experience to be able to participate at First Ward during the time of Jesse Daly, whose legacy will go on forever, Reuben Daniels, Buddy Oates. And then I was able to get my job at General Motors and UAW through the jobs program that was created at First Ward Community Center. So I've always been indebted to First Ward Community Center, and I just think the legacy and the institution of First Ward should continue.
Okay, that is absolutely amazing. I'm going to check in on our ladies to see if we, these wonderful women, if we are able, if we missed them or if we have them in the stream. Dr. Dawn, could you please try once again?
I am here. Can you hear me now?
Okay, I see your lips moving and you're absolutely gorgeous, but I do not hear you, okay? Are you able to hear me, though? Dr. Dawn. And Ms. Braddock?
Hello, hello. Hello.
I'm on by phone.
Yes, okay, I hear you, Shilda.
You can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Shilda. I certainly thank you. Dawn, could you please just try once again, please?
This is Dawn Hinton. Can you hear me now?
All right, now I can hear my people. Now I do hear a little feedback in my, it's coming through my speakers, but it's good to hear you all. Gerald, thank you for that introduction. Okay, I greatly appreciate that. Now I want to start with Dr. Dawn because Dr. Dawn, let's go down the line. I did prepare you for a particular question, but we'll save that to the end of this conversation. What I want to ask you, Dr. Dawn, is what is your role now at First Ward? Because you've taken on some new roles that people may not be aware of. Let's start right there.
I have. So I was lucky enough to have been elected as the, you can't hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. I was lucky enough to have been elected as the board chair at First Ward. My term started the 1st of February. So this is a whole month since I've been board chair at First Ward, but really excited about the opportunity, really excited about being able to work with some amazing folks at First Ward who are doing some outstanding work.
So Dr. Dawn, all of the community centers that are out there, why First Ward Community Center? You have an amazing resume. How were they able to bring your talent to their board?
That is so sweet. Thank you so much. I need to carry you around with me. As a faculty member at SVSU, all of my community service has been through First Ward. So I have this love relationship with First Ward. I have had the opportunity of interacting with the First Ward young people who have come through the Department of Natural Resources grant. Rob Brown has done some absolutely amazing work with them. Bringing them on campus, having conversations with them about, what do we need to do to make Saginaw great? We study solar panels. We are planning actually to go to Ghana. So I have this very intimate kind of love relationship with First Ward. Always have ever since I've arrived here. And just love the idea of the work that First Ward does. And its mission of of improving the lives of those folks who have been historically marginalized. Absolutely love this work.
That is so awesome. And so I want to bring in now Shilda Braddock. When we talk about legacy, we don't have to really say much about Shilda as it relates to First Ward, because for a large portion of their existence, Shilda was the face of First Ward Community Center. Shilda, welcome to this conversation. How are you doing today?
I am doing good, Kareem. Thank you.
I can't hear Shilda.
I am doing good, Kareem.
Awesome. All right, so I want to know what brings the amazing, the magnificent, the wonderful Shilda Braddock back to the forefront. I know that you are running and doing some things and preparing a pathway for success for First Ward. Why don't you share your new role with First Ward Community Center and why the legacy of First Ward is so important to you?
Well, I'm currently a member of the Ad Hoc Committee, which is basically advisory council committee for First Ward. They're currently celebrating 90 years of service. And of course, being a former director, I want to be a part of that. Hope, opportunity, and a passion for people is really the driving force of First Ward. And so I want to continue to be a part of the legacy of 90 years of service.
We were talking about how the Jewish community has been so great at preserving their legacy. When we look at their history, their artifacts, buildings, the things that are part of the Holocaust that they preserved, remember that part, they as a community have, coalesced. When we see what happens, you cannot diminish our legacy or our history. So when we look at First Ward Community Center, a gym in our community, I remember growing up as a kid, going to the programs, playing ball there, being in the talent shows. When we look at that, what is your hope for the community? Because it is a huge facility, a massive facility for us to do some great things. And looking as we move forward, and I look at my engagement with STEM and education and leadership, this is really a great place for a launching pad to take our community into, this new tech century. So looking at those things and understanding that there's always a need for updating. Okay. What is your role? What is your hope as people continue, as you tell your message about there's some things that need to change, there's some things that need updating. Come on, your house has, you change the colors in your house every 3 years. But we expect the things that provide for our community to somehow take care of themselves. Dr. Dawn, as a leader kind of pushing forward, why don't you share with us your hope for the community and their participation with giving face a First Ward a facelift?
So I think that the community of Saginaw really, First Ward is our legacy. And I think that the folks who actually come through to offer support recognize that this is our legacy. The other thing that I believe is that we have not created opportunity for the people who live in the city of Saginaw to contribute to the legacy of First Ward. So if we need something from people, you know how sometimes you need stuff and you think, how come you don't know I need it? Because you didn't ask me for it, right? And so what we're doing is we are making a very intentional effort to reach out to the people in the Saginaw community who knows that First Ward is their legacy and have some conversations with them about how can you continue to support the work that First Ward is doing. So absolutely, we want to paint, right? We have a beautiful space, over 30,000 square feet. 2 kitchens. I learned all this from Shilda. 2 kitchens, serving senior citizens, serving young people, serving our teenagers. We want our people, these folks who are receiving services from First Ward, to be in a top-notch facility. And so we're going to be coming to the folks in our community to talk with them about, what are we doing? It's possible folks just don't know. Maybe we haven't done a good enough job kind of spreading the word about the work that First Ward is doing. We want to come and have that conversation with you, and then we want to ask you to help us, because we can't do this without you. We can't just magically make this happen. None of this is possible without the help of people in the community. So
and I think that our community has a responsibility to First Ward. If you've ever come through there, if you're part of a food program, a senior citizens program, a youth program, whatever it was, if you are a part of what First Ward has put out there for these 90 years, then I think that we all have a responsibility to give back to the places that have sown into us, okay? So I want to turn my attention real quick to Ms. Braddock. Dr. Dawn was talking about everything that's happening. Now, I know that there are some great programming elements that are happening at First Ward. And there are some things that we have been talking about really just re-envisioning and reimagining how First Ward can be that center for greatness for our community. I want to talk about some of the things that are happening that people don't understand maybe be taking place over at our First Ward. And Sheila, can you help us understand? Because you were the writer of a lot of these grants and things that were going on.
Yes. Gosh, I tell you, we talk about the variety of programs that we have at First Ward. Of course, we provide these services to all populations. We have our senior citizens that have been coming to the center since 1930, and that means generations of them have come through. And so we have the wonderful programs where we are providing food services to them, as well as just different services in terms of information for seniors. We have our programs for our youth. Our LASER program is one that we really, really like to get our kids involved in. LASER, which really focuses on literacy, arts, culture, enrichment, and recreation. It's a holistic program whereby we want our kids to really be able to be real well-rounded in what they do. And so it gives them an opportunity to just have a smorgasbord of programming. In addition to that, we have our higher program, helping individuals retain excellence, as well as employment. It's great for our youth in high school, give them an opportunity to gain employment and get those soft skills that they need as they get prepared to go into their different careers. So it's just a great service that we have there for all populations, seniors, youth, and children.
Wow, that is absolutely amazing. Now, when I think about this, and we just announced, I'm a part of a program. I created a program called the Dow Treasure Academy. And the Dow Treasure Academy, and we were all talking about what was going on. We were ideating about the great things that we could put together for our community as First Ward positions itself to skyrocket and prepare toward the future, right? And so the Dow Treasure Academy on February 1st, which is the first day of Black History Month, they announced their global initiative with the Dow Treasure Academy. I was really excited and honored. Now, there are some great things that are happening, Dr. Don, as we prepare, because one of the things that you shared often was that in order for us to go into this next dimension of where First Ward is getting ready to skyrocket to, it requires collaboration. So why don't we talk about how First Ward desires to collaborate with community organizations and partners and things as we begin to move and look toward the future?
It's interesting you say that, because I've been having these conversations since the beginning of the year. So again, this is my first month, but since the beginning of the year with folks from CAC, Hurley Coleman III, and then also the young people at the NABE who have pulled together their own resources in order to create that resource, and then also Houghton Jones, because one of the things that we know is that there may be some overlap, but there are also these resources that CAC offers that First Ward doesn't offer. There's some resources that First Ward offers that, the NABE doesn't offer. And so we're looking for opportunities to partner. In my mind, there isn't really a limit on the level or the kinds of partnerships. What we also should know is that First Ward is right now partnering with folks in the community in order to provide resources. We have a prevention grant where we partner with the Emmaus House. We have a prevention specialist who's in one of the local schools here who meets with them. We have another specialist who works with young men and playing basketball, right? You got to get them in somehow. And then you have these conversations around, what is prevention? What does that mean? And so we're always looking for ways to partner in order to, bring the resources that are necessary to the people in our communities.
Okay, so as we look at this, there are some things that are coming up. We know that the entire community there's some people in the community that have really been reaching in and being very supportive of First Ward. As we begin to look, there's a radiothon, and I was trying to figure out how do I want to say this, but we have a radiothon that's coming up here, and as a part of the Alpha Media team and family, I'm so excited to be a part of this. So on March 12th, we're looking to do a radiothon, and what I thought was cool, and this speaks to the collaborative effort that First Ward is putting together. When we heard that you guys wanted to get some paint done, we looked at Sherwin Williams. Sherwin Williams was like, look, we'll get you some paint to get you guys. You want some paint, we're going to give you some paint. And there's other things that we're looking to just update because these kids deserve the best. Someone said this, and this has stuck with me forever. Our children deserve the best of us instead of giving them what's left of us.
That's right.
And so this is our opportunity to come and put our best foot forward. So the Dow Treasure Academy, which I work with Dow and all of their affiliates, Microsoft, we are now partnering with First Ward to do this radiothon with Alpha Media. And it is so exciting to see an opportunity. So when we talk about ways that the community can give back and that the community can play a part, they can do so directly through being a part of this radiothon. If it's $1, if it's $2, if it's $3, this is a vital way that we can begin to put our arms around a community organization that has put its arms around us for so many years. So that when you think of the impact that the community can really build, what exactly, the sky is really, there is no limit to what we could do if we come together and we embrace this effort. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's true. Well, first of all, let me say thank you so much, Kareem, for coming to, partner with us, with this effort of Radiothon. In our community, we recognize that we have to come together collectively in order to be able to provide those services that we need for our community. And so, yes, coming together with the Dow, DTA, and First Ward, it just means that we're going to be able to leverage those resources and allow us to serve more children and youth in our community. So yeah, it's a great opportunity for our community and to come together. And I'm encouraging and asking all of our First Ward kids, those who've been through the center, that came through the center many years ago and played basketball, and those who came and participated in our dance classes and all of our different arts programs. We're asking all of you to come out and just be a part of this, because it is a collaborative effort that takes many in our community to make it happen.
You know,
Kareem, let me say this. I'm also really excited about the opportunity to tell our story. I don't think we brag enough about what First Ward is doing. First Ward is an absolutely amazing resource. I'm grateful not only for you, but also for WTLZ for partnering with us to do this and for giving us the platform where we can literally tell the story of what, and once people hear it, once people hear the work that we're doing, I can't imagine that anybody will hear this story and say, I don't want to give you $5 a month, or I don't want to give you $10 a month. I think when people hear what we're doing, folks don't come running.
And you know the thing that I love about that, Dr. Dodd, we're looking at March 12th, right? So it is a radiothon. The radio station will be on location, right? And we will have some things that are going on that we're putting together. And as we put these pieces together, we'll give the community more knowledge about what's going to be taking place on that day. But we are looking at a legacy reading room where the young people will take time and read to the other young people. There's so many things that we're putting together. Now, this is March 12th, and call me crazy, but I'm praying and fingers are crossed right now, ladies, that we might be able to have a portion of this outdoors, because we know COVID exists. So March 12th, maybe the weather will break and we'll be able to have a portion of this outdoors, because what we would love to see happen is that everyone who has been a partner, a friend, a recipient of the services that First Ward has, that you come back on that day and we make it a First Ward reunion. And you bring your dollar, your $2, and some of y'all got big bills, so we want you to bring your thousands of dollars if necessary and possible. And we make a donation. Now, when we talk, there's a word called Sankofa, and I've used this several times. Doctor, you are the Ghanese professional going to Ghana. How many times have you been there?
Like 4.
Okay, 4 times. But there is this understanding, it's called Sankofa. And that means that we are reaching back to our rich history, so that we can take those key pieces of our history as we reach forward and propel into the future. I want the Saginaw community to have a Sankofa moment. That we look at the beauty and the richness of that community jewel, and we come together to make great things happen. Now, this is what I want to say. Now, I'm going to say this. This is straight talk. I don't need y'all to say this. I'm going to say it. What often happens is that we wait for other people to save our community. We wait for other people to invest in our community. We wait for other people to come and repair things in our community. But we have the power. Real strength comes when we invest in our own community. My grandmother used to always say, you can't expect somebody else to do for you that you're not willing to do for yourselves. So we have a responsibility. This is 90 years. This is the oldest community service organization in Saginaw. That is a key piece of history that we have that we're able to propel forward. So March 12th is the date. We'll be on the radio from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. There'll be programs and elements. I want to see balloons. I want to see just be an amazing day that we're able to do and celebrate. Now, if you're interested in being a part of what's going to take place on March 12th, Dr. Don, how can they get involved?
So it's interesting you say that. I feel like I'm in church, right? So everything you said, I wanted to say amen to. So this whole idea that we got to save ourselves because nobody else is coming to save us is absolutely powerful. Terry Reed, I see you want to be involved. I'm going to get your number and call you. But one of the ways that we do have a person who is facilitating this, and it is Gerald Kareem. And I think he had another meeting today. So I know he was going to come on for a few minutes.
I'm on, John.
Oh, he's here.
Gerald is here. Yeah. So Gerald is facilitating this entire process. So he is the one that you want to reach out to in order to make sure that we can make sure that you are engaged. Ben Smith, I saw your comment. I'm coming for you, my friend. I don't even know you, but I'm coming to meet you.
Who wants to be involved?
I'm excited. I'm excited that, I mean, just this, 10 minutes that we've been talking, we see people who are identifying with First Ward and people who want to engage. And that is the power of telling the story, right? So how do you get involved? Reach out to any of us who are here, Dawn, Shilda, or Gerald, and we will make sure that you are engaged in this process. Or Pastor Kareem.
Absolutely. I have, listen, we got more people. Ben Smith, who is an influencer in the community and does great. He does great food, y'all, and presentations. He wants to be involved. We want you all to light up the phones. Gerald, how should they contact you in order to say, hey, we want to be involved with what's going on?
They can contact me on Facebook, or they can call First Ward Community Center. That number, I believe it's 989-753-0411, I believe it is. Correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the amazing things about what's happening at First Ward is that amazing history. Up on the shoulders we stand. And you start having conversations with people in this community about First Ward, and you'll be surprised how many folks have had that opportunity to get a lift up, because First Ward was the safety net in so many different generations. Yes. So we got generational legacy there that we need to preserve. And I just believe that people is going to be just as excited about that. You know, we've been in this COVID for the last couple of years. People have been pent up and at home. And so I'm looking forward for them wanting to break out of COVID and get with us in preserving the legacy at First Ward. And I just want to say another thing about the collaboration. Because of the decrease in population in the community, because of COVID, and we're doing things different, it makes sense for us to collaborate with other community centers so that we don't duplicate those services collectively. And that's one of the things that other communities do very well. They come together collectively. People, the diversity that's in our community, we got people that know a lot of different things that they can do. So it's just a matter of people asking folks to get involved, because there is no greater calling than to serve your fellow man. And that's what First Ward has done over the years. They've helped the weak. They've always been there. And I think it's time for us now to index and envision us in this with new technology and with STEM. So I'm looking forward to the Radiothon, and I believe we're going to be successful. I'm excited about it, and we got to get folks fired up about it.
That's right.
Now, Gerald, what you said is so appropriate. I have been working with some of the biggest tech companies around the world. And when I went into First Ward Community Center, initially, you know, hey, they said, hey, would you like to be a part of this ad hoc board? Absolutely, because I am a product of First Ward's services and being a part of that community. And I think about the things. I was always afraid to be in front of people, and I would be a part of the talent show. So talk and be effective in front of people. Kids need these things. We don't have these things like we used to have them. So it's important to preserve places that are providing these opportunities. And I want to thank our media partner, Alpha Media. You know, they are so amazing. We talked to Mark Thomas, the director out here. Dave Maurer from WSGW has been interested in being involved in this. Your afternoon girlfriend, Yvonne Daniels, Paige B. We got the Robin. Everyone has been so great and gracious about making this happen. Now we need our community to come out and be a great piece of what is taking place. But when I walked into First Ward, and I said that about the companies I've been working with, I said, this is the perfect place to establish STEM, Saginaw Technology, Science, Technology, Engineering, Math. I was just looking at how, you know, I'm looking at coding competitions and hackathons, and we have the space, right? I've been looking all over, like, and the answer's been right in my backyard. Literally, you guys are 2 blocks away from our church. We are a part of the same community. We're both in the First Ward, right? And so I'm so excited. I've been having those conversations. It's happening. It's going down. I see the vision. I see what you and the team and still just coming back, showing us. She's showing us how to embrace what we have. Dr. Dawn is pushing us forward to go after what is possible. And this has been absolutely amazing. Geraldine Walker she said, I got to put this up on the screen. This is so funny. I got my first job through First Ward at GM. I didn't even know it. Mama, you a product of First Ward.
Amen. There's hundreds of us out there.
So Mr. Kareem, you are now. This is funny because Gerald and I have come together. We have been Kareem, and they thought that he was me, and he and I, because his last name is Kareem, our first name is Kareem. And so we had an opportunity to finally meet one another. But Gerald, you have worked with General Motors in the UAW, and why don't you share with them your role? And then I think that those people that are a part of your pool of history may be able to come out and support as well.
Yeah, sure. One of the things that happened to me was being able to get an application and get hired into General Motors with hundreds of more folks because of the relationship that First Ward had with General Motors, Next Tier, Consumers Power, those jobs programs, Michigan Bell. They were able to get jobs for people in the Saginaw County area. And so we've always been able to give back. We always should have given back to First Ward. So I'm looking forward to talking to so many of those brothers and sisters and men and women who benefit from First Ward being that safety net. Not only just playing basketball or the drug prevention program, but that legacy taught us how to behave. I can recall when Mr. Jesse, if you came in the First Ward Community Center and you had a hat on, you had to leave. If you smelled like smoke, you had to leave. So it was, the discipline was there. And so now in 2022, we have to index into this new world, a new way of living. I'm just excited. I've always given back to First Ward with all of the directors that was there, including the great directors, Shilda Braddock, Dempsey Allen, Charles Braddock, so many of them. And when we started talking about those workers that used to work there at First Ward, people get excited because they had an impact on so many lives. And we had to continue that legacy and preserve that legacy. Why shouldn't we? Other communities preserve their legacies and they preserve their leaders. And I think that we have to do the same thing. So I'm excited about it, fired up about it.
Let me tell you what I'm excited about. I'm excited about the comments that are in this social stream. Dr. Donner, you seen these?
Yes, I am. I'm excited about meeting whoever Miss Elma Ball Collier is, who used to take her kindergarten class to First Ward every week for story time. This is powerful. And I think, so we have stories to tell as folks who are kind of leading the charge, but we also know that there are people in our communities who have some very powerful stories to tell, and we need to somehow capture those stories. And we need to capture your interest. We need to capture your influence. So we're going to be looking for opportunities to do that.
In addition to what we're doing on March 12th, okay? So March 12th is a launch into the future. We're able to come here. Let's make this a day where people can come share their stories. So that means we have to have a videographer online. And folks share their stories, and we capture those stories. Terry Reese has his best hoop games at First Ward Community Center. So we bring these amazing stories together. We capture these stories. Come out and share your stories. Bring by a donation, become a part of this great reunion that's going to take place on March 12th, and let us help to bring First Ward. Now, we need dollars, but I guess what? You know what? Every community center is always short on volunteers. So if you want to volunteer and help, and whatever your skill, your talent, your gift, whatever you think that you might be able to provide that our young people might need, ideas, bring them all. We'll have the suggestion boxes available so people can make suggestions on how they can get involved and how the community can come together, and we'll make this a great opportunity for all. Terry, I want to put this comment up. He says, it's strange because he says, I have an ear to the street, but never hear about this through First Ward. And Dr. Dawn,
Terry.
You said it, Dawn. Say it again.
I said we have to change that. I think, and that's the problem. We just haven't been vocal enough. We haven't been telling our stories in ways that people can hear us. I just got a text message from Ralph Martin, who fire chief, right? Who said that he's appreciative of the partnership that First Ward has with the African Cultural Festival. He said he's going to bring the firehouse. Let me make sure he said that. He's going to bring the firehouse on the day. So absolutely powerful, and that's what we need. I agree, Kareem. We need to find a videographer who's going to come through and be able to record and capture these stories. So if we have a First Ward baby who is a videographer, look, we need you right now.
And I think this is absolutely amazing. And sometimes I think all we need to do is share our story, and that's what you guys are here today doing. And Gerald, thank you for leading the way. Gerald, once again, let's get that information. If someone is tuned in, how do they get involved with what's happening with this whole push forward with First Ward? You are a person that they need to communicate. Give us your information.
Yes, they can email me at gkariem@aol.com, or they can contact me at First Ward 989-753-4011.
Okay, thank you so much. Those save the dates will be going out soon. We're waiting for final confirmation. March 12th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Don't miss out on this. It is a reunion of sorts. We're coming home bringing gifts and treasure, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Whatever you want to bring, we're making it happen on March 12th so that we can catapult First Ward into this next dimension of technology and global citizenship. Thank you guys for tuning in. I want to thank you guests for being an amazing part. First Ward does have a Facebook page that you can go out there, First Ward Community Center, and they have a website that you can check out as well. So thank you for those. Thank you for tuning in today. We'll be back next week with more Straight Talk with Kareem Bowen. Until next week, God bless you all. Grace and peace.
You've been listening to Straight Talk with Kareem Bowen on KISS 107.1. The views and opinions expressed on Straight Talk with Kareem Bowen by the host, its guest, or call in